Tonight, this isn't just another headline scrolling across your phone. This isn't just another political drama unfolding in some distant courtroom or behind some marble government doors. What just surfaced from the Epstein files has the potential to shake the very systems that touch your life, your family, and your wallet every single day. And the most shocking part? The new revelation isn't just about powerful people. It's about the decisions they made behind closed doors and how those decisions may have quietly shaped policies, influence, and money trails that reached far beyond what anyone expected. For years, the Epstein scandal felt like something out of a movie. Private islands, billionaires, secret flights, sealed documents. But now, a new wave of information is pushing its way into the open, and it's not just gossip or speculation. It's raising serious questions about influence, power, and what really happened behind the scenes while ordinary Americans were paying taxes, raising families, and trusting that the system worked the way it was supposed to. Imagine this: while you were worrying about rising prices at the grocery store, about your retirement account, about your kids' college tuition, some of the most powerful figures in the world were allegedly tied to a network that is only now being fully exposed. And the documents being discussed today could change how investigations unfold, how reputations are judged, and how the public sees the institutions they once trusted. This story isn't just about the past, it's about accountability, transparency, and whether the rules apply to everyone equally. Because when explosive information comes out of sealed files, it doesn't just shake headlines, it shakes confidence, markets, and the very idea of fairness in the system. And tonight, the latest revelation is sending shockwaves through political circles, financial networks, and social media at the same time. What the new revelation claims. According to newly discussed details connected to the Epstein files, the latest revelation centers around previously unseen connections and communications that could link powerful figures more directly to Epstein's inner circle than earlier reports suggested. These details, which are being described as explosive by commentators, involve contact logs, meeting references, and travel records that were either sealed, overlooked, or buried in legal filings. Now, before jumping to conclusions, it's important to understand what these files actually represent. Many of these documents are part of ongoing legal processes, depositions, or historical records tied to lawsuits and investigations. That means some names appearing in the files do not automatically imply wrongdoing. But the sheer number of high-profile connections being revisited is what's causing such a massive reaction across media and political landscapes. For everyday Americans, this raises a deeper concern. If powerful people were moving in these circles without consequence for years, what does that say about the systems meant to protect the public? And more importantly, what does it mean for the trust you place in those systems today? The revelation is not just about one person or one event. It's about patterns. Who knew whom? Who traveled where? Who attended what gathering? And when those patterns involve individuals with influence over finance, politics, or global markets, the implications stretch far beyond scandal. They touch policy, regulation, and the direction of entire industries. That's why this update is being called explosive, not because it delivers one shocking sentence, but because it paints a broader picture that could force uncomfortable questions into the open. Why this story keeps coming back? You might be wondering why the Epstein story refuses to disappear. After all, years have passed since his arrest, and the headlines have come and gone. But the truth is, the case was never just about one man. It was about a network, a web of influence, money, and connections that reached into some of the most powerful institutions in the world. And that's why every new document release, every court filing, and every witness statement still carries weight, because each new piece of information has the potential to reveal who else was involved, who knew what, and who might have benefited from staying silent. For families watching at home, this matters more than it might seem. When powerful networks operate without transparency, it affects the fairness of the system you depend on. It can influence everything from financial regulation to political decisions that shape your taxes, your job market, and your retirement security. This story keeps resurfacing because the questions were never fully answered. And until they are, every new revelation will carry the potential to shake public confidence all over again. The political shockwaves. The latest revelation isn't just a legal story, it's a political earthquake. As new details circulate, lawmakers and political figures are being asked tough questions. Who had contact? Who knew about Epstein's activities? And why did it take so long for some of these connections to come into the spotlight? In Washington, perception matters. Even the suggestion of ties to a scandal of this magnitude can shift alliances, derail campaigns, and trigger investigations. And when political instability rises, markets often react. That means your investments, your retirement accounts, and even the interest rates on your loans could feel the ripple effects. Political shockwaves don't stay inside Capitol Hill. They move outward into economic policy, regulatory decisions, and budget negotiations that affect the cost of living for millions of Americans. And right now, as this revelation spreads, the political temperature is rising fast. The money trail questions. One of the most intense areas of focus in the Epstein saga has always been the money. Where did it come from? Where did it go? And who benefited along the way? The latest revelation is renewing interest in financial records, donations, and business ties connected to Epstein's network. Investigators and analysts are once again looking at how money moved between individuals, foundations, and institutions. For everyday viewers, this might sound distant, but it's not. Financial networks tied to powerful figures often intersect with banks, investment firms, and global markets. When those networks come under scrutiny, it can trigger investigations, settlements, and regulatory changes. And those changes can influence everything from stock prices to credit availability. In other words, the fallout from these revelations could eventually reach the very accounts you rely on for your financial future. Public trust on the line. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies in any society. You trust that your leaders will act in the public's best interest. You trust that institutions will enforce the law fairly. And you trust that the rules apply to everyone, no matter how wealthy or powerful they are. But when scandals like this resurface with explosive new details, that trust takes a hit. People begin to wonder whether justice is truly equal. They question whether powerful networks operate under different rules. And when public trust erodes, the effects can be widespread. Markets can become volatile, political divisions can deepen, and everyday Americans can feel uncertain about the future. Media and social media erupt. Within hours of the revelation, social media platforms lit up. Hashtags began trending, news panels filled with debates, commentators, analysts, and influencers all started weighing in. Some called the revelation long overdue. Others urged caution, reminding viewers that not every name in a file indicates wrongdoing. But one thing was clear: the story had captured the public's attention once again. And in today's digital age, public reaction can shape real-world outcomes. Market sentiment, political pressure, and legal momentum can all shift based on how a story spreads online. What investigators may do next? With new details emerging, attention is turning to what comes next. Will there be new subpoenas? Additional testimonies? Expanded investigations? Legal experts say that major revelations often lead to renewed scrutiny, especially if new evidence suggests deeper connections or previously overlooked leads. For viewers at home, the key takeaway is this: the story may not be over. In fact, it could be entering a new phase, one that brings more answers, but also more uncertainty. Why this matters to your daily life. At first glance, a scandal involving billionaires and political elites might feel far removed from your daily routine. But the truth is, stories like this can have ripple effects that reach your kitchen table. Political instability can influence interest rates. Financial investigations can shake markets. Public trust can affect consumer confidence and economic growth. And when all those factors shift, the impact can show up in the price of groceries, the value of your retirement account, or the cost of borrowing money. That's why this story matters, not just as a headline, but as a reminder that the actions of the powerful can shape the realities of everyday Americans. So here we are, another explosive revelation, another wave of questions, and another moment where the public is left wondering what the full truth really is. But this time, the stakes feel different because the more details that surface, the harder it becomes to ignore the broader picture. This isn't just about one scandal, it's about accountability, it's about transparency, and it's about whether the system works the same way for everyone, for you, your family, and your wallet. Staying informed has never been more important. The decisions made in response to these revelations could shape policies, markets, and trust in the institutions that guide the economy. So keep your eyes on this story. Watch how it develops. Pay attention to the facts as they emerge, because the truth behind these files could influence far more than just headlines. And if you want to stay ahead of the changes that could impact your financial future, make sure you stay connected for the next update, because this story is far from over.